There's a misconception that because I have worked in the entertainment industry that this would be something I would be familiar with. I've never been part of tabloid culture, and I think we were just hit so hard at the beginning with a lot of mistruths.
Ever since the former Duke and Duchess of Sussex left royal life for Los Angeles, tension has been mounting between the two households. Too many questions remained unanswered as the newly independent couple built their life together.
I made the choice to not read anything.
The world would receive the answers and so much more than they could ever have imagined after an explosive interview rocked the world and left the royal family on the brink of disaster.
No mistake, the fallout from this will shudder down through the generations.
Americans have a fairy tale about the royal family, and this fantasy has been shattered.
I think this was confirmation, if confirmation were needed, that their life in the UK is over. The chapter of that book is well and truly shut.
To think that this is the royal family that I personally love and adore, this is the way that they behave behind closed doors.
That is the price of celebrity. The one rule the royal family's always stuck to is don't complain, stick it out. They just couldn't handle it, but it was very difficult what they were trying to handle. They were trying to change the royal family. Doesn't happen.
This is Harry and Meghan, the revelations.
And Catherine's been absolutely
wonderful,
amazing, as is William as well. Fantastic support. No, the whole family have come together and have been a huge amount of support.
They've been amazing.
Have you spoken to your brother since the interview?
No, I haven't spoken yet, but I will do.
Is the royal family a racist family, sir?
We're very much not a racist family.
It is being called the interview of the century, on par only with Princess Diana's infamous Panorama interview 26 years earlier. A landmark tell-all that rocked the world, as people got a chance to take a peek behind the royal palace's doors. The secrets of the firm were laid bare for all to see. $7 million for Oprah, $300,000 for every 30 seconds of advertising. This was billed as the TV event of the year, and it didn't disappoint.
And it was quite evident from Meghan and Harry's interview yesterday that the colour of her skin made a difference to how not only she was treated, but how Harry was treated too.
This program has gone out in the United States. So the United States has an image of this country, and that image has been altered. So that has to be addressed. And the fact that allegations of racism, and particularly the fairly shocking revelation that made about baby Archie's skin color, that's quite a shocking thing. And it can't actually sort of be brushed aside as a kind of a joke. It actually reflects on the country. If we want to think about the nation as a brand, and people do, unfortunately, this brand has been tarnished.
You know, I know that the majority of British people are much better than that. And I think a lot of people will be seeing the sadness in that.
The royal family's been through worse than this, but the monarchy will survive it because they're pretty indissoluble. They have their own rules, their own practices, their own club. You do not break into it. You don't change their rules. If you do, it's going to end in a mess, and it's ended in a mess, I'm afraid. I don't think any of the particular things she says, which I just don't know about, I don't think they're true. I don't think the family's racist. All the things she said we saw in the papers at the time. That is the price of celebrity. The one rule the royal family's always stuck to is don't complain, stick it out. And for better or for worse, and it's clearly for worse, and I feel sorry for them, they just couldn't handle it, but it was very difficult what they were trying to handle. They were trying to change the royal family. It doesn't happen. Simon's absolutely right. I mean, this is a rock-solid institution that very few new incomers
have changed and can change. But she wasn't to know that because Harry didn't help her to know that. Harry wanted to change it. Harry wanted it to be different. Harry wanted it to be another thing.
Revelation after revelation. Locked out of finances, alienated and alone, distressed and in need of help, brought to tears and the victim of racism. Shocking allegations that split opinion. Who to believe and what should be done.
Make no mistake, the fallout from this will shudder down through the generations.
I'm seeing two clearly very unhappy young people. I feel very sorry for them.
It's kind of, I have to say, I find this very sad.
But how did things get so hostile? How did the prince and princess turn their backs on the life they once knew?
I think this was confirmation, if confirmation were needed, that their life in the UK is over.
There's a misconception that because I have worked in the entertainment industry that this would be something I would be familiar with. But even though I'd been on my show for, I guess, 6 years at that point, and working before that, I've never been part of tabloid culture. I've never been in pop culture to that degree and lived a relatively quiet life, even though I focused so much on my job. And so that was a really stark difference out of the gate. But, and I think we were just hit so hard at the beginning with a lot of mistruths that I made the choice to not read anything, positive or negative. It just didn't make sense. And instead we focused all of our energies just on nurturing our relationship. On us.
From the initial announcement of their relationship to the engagement and all the way to the wedding, Harry and Meghan were the hottest headline in every newspaper. All that attention began to cause more and more problems.
Ever since he set eyes on Meghan and fell in love with Meghan, he feared the day when he might lose her, and he believes that the media may play a part in his losing her.
Meghan and Harry had very much a whirlwind romance. When you are a royal trying to date someone who's a Hollywood actress, which is not unprecedented, but it is unusual, it's very important to stay under the radar. One of the big dangers of this relationship is that there would be a host of publicity, a host of press, and then the two would break up. And then both of them are plagued and haunted by the rest of their lives by questions about this relationship, which was never meant to be. So for celebrities, it's very important before they go public to make sure that it's really serious and it's gonna last, because otherwise it's just embarrassing and it's just bad publicity for everyone. In the case of Harry and Meghan, I think they knew very early on that this was potentially going to be a lifelong romance. But they were very cautious and they tried to keep their relationship under the radar as they got to know each other to make sure before they went public. Harry made several surreptitious visits to Meghan's condo in Toronto. He would come and go and really nobody figured out who he was. And Meghan was being, secretly brought over here, stayed with him in Kensington Palace, and again, none were the wiser. Meghan and Harry kept most of their early courting days behind closed doors. They say that, she was cooking him a roast chicken when he proposed. They were used to spending a lot of evenings at home, having home-cooked meals, because they frankly couldn't go out to restaurants. But I think the intimacy of their early days, when they were really forced to spend most of their time alone together at home, contributed to their close connection and bond.
The pressure on Meghan and her family were like nothing she had ever experienced. Insignificant family disagreements became international feuds. Difficulty with handling her father's exploitation by the media led to him being cut from the wedding plans, and the stress led him to suffer a life-threatening heart attack.
Windsor was, an incredible scene the day of the royal wedding. Everyone was excited. The crowds were enormous. As you came up that very famous park, it was mobbed. Both sides of where their carriage was going to go was thousands and thousands of people stood back to back, ready to cheer them on. The applause, the cheers as they drove through Windsor were deafening. There was a tremendous amount of love and support for Meghan and Harry on their special day. As is custom, the Queen's wedding gift to Meghan and Harry were titles. She gave them the titles of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex.
Meanwhile, in the palace, there was a lack of trust towards Meghan, and there were fears that the couple's domination of the headlines would eclipse other senior members of the royal family.
It's my great pleasure and privilege to invite Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex, to speak.
We are proud to be able to join you tonight in celebrating the 125th anniversary of women's suffrage in your country. The achievements of the women of New Zealand who campaigned for their right to vote and were the first in the world to achieve it are universally admired. In looking forward to this very special occasion, I reflected on the importance of this achievement, but also the larger impact of what this symbolizes. Because yes, women's suffrage is about feminism, but feminism is about fairness. Suffrage is not simply about the right to vote, but also about what that represents. The basic and fundamental human right of being able to participate in the choices for your future and that of your community. The involvement and voice that allows you to be a part of the very world that you are a part of. And women's suffrage is not simply about the right to vote for women, but also about what that represents. The basic and fundamental human right of all people, including those members of society who've been marginalized, whether for reasons of race, gender, ethnicity, or orientation, to be able to participate in the choices for their future and their community.
Yes, good to see you. Sorry, you want me over here?
Yes, so X marks the spot.
X marks the spot.
Got lovely horses in the background. I've got all ready. Right. Prince Harry, have you got any news you want to share with us and the world?
Yes, I'm very excited to announce that Meghan and myself had a baby boy.
There was a lot written about the way that Meghan and Harry handled this birth. In some believe there has been a fundamental disconnect on the part of Meghan and Harry in the difference between being a celebrity and being a royal. As a celebrity, you're entitled to privacy when it comes to things like this. I mean, of course, you have Beyonce with reporters camped out at the hospital, but as a celebrity, you don't owe the public anything when it comes to pictures of your newborn. As a royal, the expectation is that you do. As a royal, the expectation is that this family, in a way, belongs to the public. They're public servants. And if the people want to see a picture of the baby, you give them a picture of the baby. If the people want to see the new mom just hours after she gives birth trotted out in stockings and high heels, then you do it. That has been done up until now. Whether or not that's right, that is the precedent. So for Harry and Meghan to treat this the way a celebrity would really treat this, which is, we ask for privacy at this time, that's not what royals do. And the British press and some of the public have been upset because they want to feel like they're participants in this birth the way they have in other royal births. However, Meghan and Harry have drawn a clear line in the sand and said, no, we have boundaries and this is ours. And we're not letting you in to this special moment in the way that, say, William and Kate did. The initial hours after the baby's born belong to us, not to you. That is a difference in the way celebrities and royals view these kinds of things, and that has been a sticking point for some people in the British press.
Despite being born into royal privilege, Prince Harry's life hasn't always been easy. He has endured tragedy, heartbreak, and loss. Fitting in to the archaic institution of monarchy has been a struggle his entire life.
I think it's probably very difficult being the second son because you don't really have a defined role. You're just the joker in the pack. The attention is very much focused on the eldest child, as it was with William. I mean, Diana made a very conscious effort not to allow that to happen, but of course it did. Harry became important by, you know, being this big character, being this brave boy. So I think it does affect these kids. I mean, when you look at Princess Margaret, she never found the happiness she should have done. She was always completely in the shadow of her elder sister because her elder sister was Queen.
Prince Harry, I won't say dropped out of school, but he came very close to dropping out of Eton. He left with some rather appalling exam results, and there was a delay before he joined the army, which was really his only option. University wasn't on the table. In that period, I think Harry now, by his own admission, would say that he went through a very bad patch.
And then, of course, there's the notorious strip at Vegas, which was really, really wild.
Harry learnt a lot in that small period of time, and I don't think at that stage in his life anybody could have said anything to him that he would have taken notice of. But luckily, he's grown up since then.
Every misdemeanor that Harry's had has sort of leaked out to the press because we all want to see Harry being Harry.
I think when it comes to Prince Harry, it's obvious that there's huge affection between the two brothers. Even when he was very little, when he was 10, 11 years old, and he'd see the girls starting to scream because Prince William was coming along because he was that bit older and they could see he was very handsome. We're told Prince Harry would encourage the girls to scream and just because he knew it really embarrassed his brother. So he seems to be the more playful one, Prince Harry. And again, that would bear out what the Princess of Wales said in that Panorama interview about he's a more of a Spencer wild child than William is. And we can see it, can't we, in the pictures we see in his antics and the kind of things he likes to do. But I also get the impression from the times we've seen the two together talking to one another and about one another and about that, because they've spoken about their closeness as brothers, that you get the feeling that Prince William, for all his understanding of the seriousness of his role in the future, he makes it very clear that he needs his brother and he values that perhaps childlike, fun element that's in his life.
Finally got hands-on to a job that I absolutely adore. It is still hard work, but I'm better than William, so it's fine.
Yeah, just like that.
You've been helping him with the exam?
Yeah, an awful lot. He needs a lot of help. It's it's the RAF way, so you have to help the army out quite a lot.
Does it come down to sort of mental maths tests? Or?
Yeah, a bit of that. You know, a few trick questions, try and catch him out.
7 8s.
Yeah, exactly. Lots of that.
In 2013, Prince Harry spent 4 months in Afghanistan with the British Army. He often refers to his time there as some of the most humbling days of his life, and while serving, he preferred to be known as Captain Wales, as opposed to his formal royal title of Prince Harry. He regarded those days as the only time he could really be himself, far away from the scrutiny and rigidity of life at home. Harry's time in the military consequently inspired much of his charitable work when he returned to royal duties. This includes the internationally successful Invictus Games. In his younger years, when Harry was starting to date, he lost many potential lifelong partners abruptly, all for the same reason. The cameras and a hounding press were just too much of an intrusion. There is no doubt that Harry has always struggled with his relationship to the press. It's clear that he still holds resentment towards the paparazzi that chased his mother, Princess Diana, that fateful night in Paris when she was killed in a car crash.
Prince Harry's relationship with the media went bad and has got progressively worse ever since his mother died. He believes deeply and profoundly that the media contributed to his mother's untimely death.
It's almost impossible to describe to a stranger or someone who's never met Princess Diana what she was really like. What I usually say is she was as beautiful inside as she was out. She loved to have fun. She loved to giggle. She loved to play practical jokes. And she loved nothing more than cuddling up with her 2 boys watching TV. and the boys were the centre of her world. William, although he looks like his mother, is more like his father. He's studious, he's very careful, he's very respectful, he's duty-bound. Harry, on the other hand, is a hybrid of the Spencers' red hair and the Windsors, but he has his mother's naughty streak. Harry is the fun guy. Harry was always the soldier, William was always the general.
To anyone in the know, it was very obvious that the Wales's marriage was in real trouble by the late 80s. Inevitably, the announcement was made by the then Prime Minister, John Major, that Diana and Charles were going to separate. Now, Diana knew that this was going to ricochet, and she made sure that the first people who found out that they were going to separate were William and Harry, and she actually made the drive to Ludgrove School herself to go and tell them. Harry took it very badly, of course, being younger than William. He was incredibly upset. William was very stoic and said to his mother, well, if you're going to be happier, Mummy, then this is the right thing to do. Because, of course, Diana didn't have many confidants. I think with the palace came a lockdown. Yes, there were some courtiers, but you couldn't really confide in courtiers. There were some close friends, but the person she really often confided in was William. And as a young boy, trying to cope with that was a huge weight on his shoulders, but it was William who would push tissues under the door in the bathroom.
Diana, Princess of Wales, has been seriously injured in a car accident in Paris. Her companion, the Harrods heir Dodi Al Fayed, has been killed. The driver of the princess's car is also understood to be dead. The accident happened at just after midnight in the west of the city near the Alma Bridge.
The boys were told early in the morning before they would have had a chance to have turned the news on.
You know, I remember the day William and Harry came back to Kensington Palace after their mother died. I remember standing in the hallway and William walked in and shook my hand and asked me if I was all right. I said, I'm fine, thank you. Harry ran down the corridor, flung his arms around me and broke his heart. I still remember his tears wet my shirt through. He was broken-hearted.
William and Harry are acutely aware of where things went wrong in the press in their early life. And there's an argument, quite a strong one, to suggest that the wheels so spectacularly fell off Diana's life and her public image and how she was portrayed in the press and how she was pursued by journalists and photographers that contributed to her tragic demise.
Ever since her death, he has tried to find an accommodation, and that accommodation has been his acceptance that the intense interest in him could be used by him to throw focus on issues that he is passionate about.
In more recent years, Harry has chastised the press for their treatment of Meghan Markle, releasing unprecedented statements highlighting racist and unethical behavior.
We were introduced actually by a mutual friend. It was through her, and then we met once and then twice back to back, 2 dates in London last July.
Yes.
Beginning of July.
Harry and Meghan's first date was at Soho House's Dean Street townhouse in 2016. They got on so well that after just 3 hours, they decided to return for a romantic dinner the next evening. Meghan ticked all Harry's boxes, and it goes without saying that he was head over heels for her after just those first 2 dates. After those first 2 dates, Harry whisked Meghan away to his favorite place in the world, Botswana. He told Meghan to fly to the UK and leave the rest to him. Things seemed too good to be true, and back at the palace, whispers were starting to spread about concerns that the couple were moving too quickly. According to a source close to the couple, Prince Harry was cautioned early on to take his time with this girl from his brother. Prince Harry didn't take lightly to his words of warning. He took the advice to be the embodiment of the snobbery that the royal institution oozed to him. From this point on, the famously close brothers began to drift further and further apart. What had been the Fab Three was now a bitter Fab Four. According to sources, William's wife Kate did not perpetuate the divide, but did little to resolve it. On January 13, 2020, royal watchers were on the edge of their seats as Harry and Meghan entered what was infamously called a crisis meeting with Her Majesty the Queen, Prince Charles, and Prince William. This was the deal or no deal moment. The future of the royal family was hanging on the outcome of this critical talk.
This has opened up a Pandora's box, and there are so many wider issues at stake. The future of the monarchy, this streamlined monarchy that you keep hearing people talking about. What does that actually look like if Meghan and Harry do step down?
They feel they've been hounded by the media, etc. But in reality, there's been nothing like that. The royal rota system, I think, has given them an awful lot of works it's been going since the 1950s. And one must remember that this is an unelected institution that relies upon media, publicity, the public support for its life's blood.
This new relationship they want is very much what, say, a celebrity like Beyoncé has, whereby they are in control, they release the images, they choose who comes and talks to them. I mean, that's a relationship that works in Hollywood, that's a relationship that works with celebrities. It's a great open question whether it's a relationship that can work with a senior, active member of the British royal family.
After several tense hours, Buckingham Palace announced with a heavy heart that arrangements had been reached for Harry and Meghan to leave royal duties behind and pursue an independent future. Public reaction was divided, to say the least. While some wished the couple nothing but happiness and success, others felt resentment in abandoning crown and country.
They are people who want to do good things in the world, and that's their vehicle for doing them.
The only president was Edward VIII, who abdicated in 1936 in order to marry Wallis Simpson. Harry, of course, is sixth in line to the throne, and this is not an exact parallel at all, but there is no doubt that this will have seismic effects.
There's no doubt that the reaction inside the palace was just as divided.
Well, Harry and Meghan's decision to step down from their royal duties was a huge shock. It was also a shock to the Queen and Prince Philip. Although they knew about it beforehand, they had no idea that it was all going to happen so quickly. They thought this would pan out and be carefully organised. Instead, it was just a snap decision. And then Harry and Meghan put a sort of blueprint on their website. So the royal family were very shocked and actually very angry. But they wanted to help. The Queen in particular wanted to help Harry and Meghan. She understood how difficult it was for outsiders to marry into the family and the door open for you.
The now free couple announced a new future of financial independence, stepping back from the royal family, but insisted they would continue to support their causes and, of course, Her Majesty the Queen. They shared plans to split their time between North America and the UK. And just like that, as quickly as the whirlwind romance had started back in July 2016, less than 3 years on, they were gone.
What was it like? It was exciting. I mean, I've been seeing her for a period of time when I literally didn't tell anybody at all. And then William was longing to meet her, and so was Catherine. So, they're being our neighbours, we managed to get that in quite a few times now. And Catherine's been absolutely
wonderful,
amazing, as is William as well. Fantastic support. And then my father as well. We had a couple of, no more than that.
We've had
a handful of teas and meetings and all sorts of gatherings over at his place as well. So no, the family together have been absolutely solid support, and my grandparents as well have been wonderful throughout this whole process, and they've known for quite some time. So how they haven't told anybody is again a miracle in itself. But no, the whole family have come together and have been a huge amount of support.
They've been amazing.
All the work you do together is great, but working together as family, do you ever have disagreements about things?
Oh, yes. Healthy disagreement.
Okay, the last thing you disagreed on, how do you resolve it?
I can't remember, they come so thick and fast.
But is it resolved? We don't know.
Oh, we don't know. Well, you're putting on a great show if it's not.
By 2019, little progress had been made to reconcile the growing gap between the two brothers' families. At Westminster Abbey for Commonwealth Day service in March 2020, the two couples barely spoke. While a lot was written about a raging feud between Kate and Meghan, the reality was that the two barely knew each other.
I think the hopes were that Kate would help Meghan adjust, and the two women would become fierce and loyal friends and would be, joined at the hip, and everything would go smoothly. Of course, we know that's not what happened. Meghan and Kate have really not forged the kind of friendship that I think royal insiders were hoping that they would. They're by all means cordial, but I don't believe they are close friends. I think Meghan and Kate probably don't have all that much in common, and they're both fully formed adult women. They're not teenagers that you take on a trip together and hope they get along. These are two fully formed women with their own styles and opinions, and we know about Kate Middleton that she very much follows the royal protocol. She does not put a step wrong. Whereas Meghan, I think, is challenging royal norms. We know she is because she's already done things markedly differently than any other royal has done. So the women are different. Personally, I don't believe there's been a big rift between Meghan and Kate at all. I think it's more likely that it's Harry and William who have their own ideas about things, and the wives are kind of going along and supporting their husbands.
May I just say that while I'm here with my husband as a member of the royal family, I want you to know that for me, I am here with you as a mother, as a wife, as a woman of color, and as your sister. I am here with you, and I am here for you, and I thank you so much for showing my husband and I the spirit of Ubuntu. And I look forward to our time over the next few days together. Thank you so much for having us.
Look, they're clearly very unhappy with the royal existence that they have at the moment, and the way that their public life impinges on them. It's something they clearly want to change. Many people have sympathy with that. It's understandable. The crux of the matter is you can't be half royal. You can be part of the royal machine. You can accept the privileges that go with it, but also take the restrictions and all that, and you live in a sort of bubble, or you can stand back. I mean, the next generation of Dukes of Kent, Dukes of Gloucester, they're private citizens. No one would recognise them in the street. You can go down that route if you want. What you can't do is to be sort of transatlantic royals who drop in, do a bit of royal stuff, but then go off to do this sort of financial independence stuff in LA or Toronto, wherever it is.
I think the whole plan that Harry and Meghan have is a really problematic one, because they're talking about stepping back. Their critics would argue, about having their cake and eat it. They're talking about one day representing the Queen on a foreign tour to another country, on another day, say in North America, earning serious money with some sort of endorsement of some sort of product. The risk is that those two things aren't compatible. The risk is that their pursuit of money will tarnish the Windsor brand and tarnish the House of Windsor.
It's extraordinary that Harry and Meghan took the step without consulting the Queen, or indeed without consulting Harry's father, the Prince of Wales, or his brother William. The facts of the matter are, however, that this is symptomatic clearly of the fact that they are unhappy with royal roles and feel deeply pressurized.
I mean, this is the real problem for the Queen and Prince Charles. They are dealing with this as a grandmother and as a father on the one hand, and they're also dealing with it as the protector of an ancient dynasty. And we have seen that how, as protectors of the ancient dynasty, when they need to, they act brutally, as they did with Prince Andrew when they removed him from public office. There may be a point that at some stage that the Queen, Charles and William believe that what Meghan and Harry are proposing is a threat to the institution of the British monarchy, then they will act.
The only sensible way of proceeding was to have arranged this beforehand with other members of the royal family, with the royal household. They've chosen to do the opposite and go rogue. The result, therefore, could have very serious consequences. There is a security costs. There's where they are to live in North America. There's the British taxpayer paying $2.4 million already for their home in Frogmore, and there will be issues dealing with staff, issues also dealing with royal engagements. They say they want to keep their patronages, so it raises more questions than it answers. What it emphasizes is how unhappy and stressed they are.
Despite the infamous crisis meeting to decide their future on January 13th, the couple announced by March 31, 2020, that they were officially leaving the royal family, would no longer use their titles, and would become financially independent. As a first step into independence, the couple founded Archwell Inc., a non-profit foundation for change. The company went on to found Archwell Productions and sign multiple huge media deals with Netflix and Spotify for a series of inspirational documentary and podcast productions, reportedly worth around £18 million. On March 7th at 8 p.m., CBS aired the landmark interview led by TV legend Oprah Winfrey. The 2-hour interview has caused an incredible fallout, the magnitude of which still cannot be fully understood.
I think there is now an allegation of racism hanging over a member or members of the royal family. We don't know who, as we said earlier, not the Queen, not the Duke of Edinburgh, but beyond that, we don't know who. Harry and Meghan wouldn't say. And nor do we know the context in which this remark was made. But we do know, from what we've heard, that both Harry, when he heard it, and Meghan, when it was passed on, took offence to it, and therefore that is an issue for them. And also, I think there's slightly wider questions for us as a society. Harry said that he left in part because of racism in the UK. What does that mean for us? Do we need to look at ourselves a bit more? Look at the barrister that was in Rebecca Barry's report just now who said Meghan was describing my life in the UK. And I think that is very important that we sit down to address that. And I think then on the general point for Buckingham Palace, why is it that Meghan was unable to sort of fit in? Why couldn't she get the help she needed when she desperately needed it? Although we should also point out last week, as we discussed on this programme, there was that bullying complaint revealed against Meghan that the Human Resources Department had to look into as well. So there's a lot there.
Sir, have you spoken to your brother since the interview?
No, I haven't spoken to him yet, but I will do.
And can you just let me know, is the royal family a racist family, sir?
No, we're very much not a racist family.
It's great to hear people's stories, but as a journalist, your immediate thoughts are the truth. What is the truth? What are the facts of a scenario? And you have to investigate those, and I don't think Oprah did that enough.
Simon's absolutely right. I mean, this is a rock solid institution that very few new incomers have changed and can change. But she wasn't to know that because Harry didn't help her to know that. Harry wanted to change it. Harry wanted it to be different. Harry wanted it to be another thing.
The couple are expecting a baby girl in the summer, their second child together. Harry claimed that when they left the UK for Canada, Prince Charles stopped returning his calls, and this left them to feeling they were on their own. According to Harry, the royal family completely cut him off financially around the first quarter of 2020, when they decided to become independent from the royal family. This left him concerned for his safety and the safety of his family. He said that he now is living off his inheritance from his mother.
The fact that Americans have a fairy tale about the royal family, and this fantasy has been shattered. And particularly the statement about Archie and the color of his skin. And for America now, this is really, really not on.
Meghan claimed that she has experienced racism from certain undisclosed members of the royal family who questioned her about Archie's skin color. Oprah went on to clarify that the couple made clear that it wasn't the Queen or Prince Philip that made these remarks. Either way, the palace released a statement addressing the alleged racism. The palace said, recollections may vary, but the matters would be addressed privately.
To think that this is the royal family that I personally love and adore, this is the way that they behave behind closed doors.
You can argue why they're treated like that. Is it because she's a divorcee American, or is it the fact that she is a woman of colour, black woman, biracial, however you want to look at it? That's the question.
In an institution that is not that far removed from slavery and colonialism, it's not a shock here, there, anywhere that, like, I have friends who date folks of color whose families ask if that's the first question is like, is the person going to come, is your child going to come out dark?
This program has gone out in the United States. So the United States has an image of this country, and that image has been altered. So that has to be addressed. Of racism, and particularly the fairly shocking revelation that made about baby Archie's skin color, that's quite a shocking thing. And it can't actually sort of be brushed aside as a kind of a joke. It actually reflects on the country. If we want to think about the nation as a brand, and people do, unfortunately, this brand has been tarnished.
It's difficult to say. The royal family's been through worse than this, but the monarchy will survive it because they're pretty indissoluble. They have their own rules, their own practices, their own club. You do not break into it. You don't change their rules. If you do, it's going to end in a mess, and it's ended in a mess, I'm afraid. I don't think any of the particular things she says, which I just don't know about, I don't think they're true. I don't think the family's racist. All the things she said we saw in the papers at the time. That is the price of celebrity. The one rule the royal family's always stuck to is don't complain, stick it out. And for better or for worse, and it's clearly for worse, and I feel sorry for them, they just couldn't handle it. But it was very difficult what they were trying to handle. They were trying to change the royal family. It doesn't happen.
There is this general perception that the British don't show racism overtly. It's kind of like, so, but then they're not saying it, but they're implying it. It's implied racism, and it's just unfathomable.
It isn't shocking to hear. To me, it sounds disappointing, upsetting, tearful, even when I watched it, because sadly, what people don't seem to understand is that racism exists all around us all the time. And so what Meghan and Harry spoke about was something that I, and no doubt a number of the 3.2% of our society who represent themselves as being black, suffer all the time.
Whilst I'm not up on protocol, royal protocol, what I will say is that, of course, they had to do something. For me, a statement is not action. And for me, and I'm sure for millions of others, we would like to see some sort of action, you know, with the same vim that you entered into when it has been supported in the press, stories and also I think also omission of information is just as damaging particularly to a person of colour. So I think for me, and you know, little old me from Birmingham, I'd prefer to see action. You know, yeah, okay, a statement's really nice, but anyone can write something down on a piece of paper. What does that actually mean?
The big royal wedding that cost £40 million and was watched by the world? Turns out it was all a performance. The couple claimed that they actually tied the knot in a secret ceremony 3 days before the big event in their backyard.
Well, you put it that way. I just don't see it. The royal family is not a democratic institution. It was an invention in the 1960s of the royal family, of the monarchy of Britain, to go a different route from all the other monarchies in Europe. There's no need for a royal family. They are not necessary. They were made into celebrities. They've paid a terrible price for it, these children. They really have. I mean, goodness knows. But she bought into that. She just did. It's no good pretending. It's not in some sense her doing. She bought into it. She clearly thought she could, in some sense, I don't say she wanted to capitalize on it. She wanted to change it. And she hasn't changed it. She's found it very difficult. Nobody emerges from it with much credit. You're quite right. But I'm very reluctant to say it's all one side's fault.
Perhaps most troubling of all were Meghan's claims that she experienced real and frightening suicidal thoughts as a result of such intense tabloid scrutiny and isolation at the palace. Becoming a royal meant giving up a lot of personal luxuries and independence. Meghan also claimed that it was disparaging that the palace refused to correct false statements about her.
Just disturbing me mentally now to think that she was in a very dark place, but she didn't show it to us, and she's trying to get us from that dark spot. I owe her a lot.
My reaction is looking at two human beings, and you know what they're telling is the truth as they see it, and you can't deny that, and something has to be addressed.
Well, it's really sad to see the family in turmoil like this. The issues that Meghan has raised of race and mental health are really serious issues, and it's a reminder, I think, whether you're in East London as we are here or in Meghan's situation, that too many people still experience racism in 21st century Britain, and we have to take that very, very seriously. It's a reminder there's a lot more to do. Nobody should be prejudiced because of the colour of their skin or because of their mental health issues.
What happens now? That remains unclear. Both sides will be feeling the repercussions of such public actions for a long time, especially with allegations as serious as racism.
People love scandal, and people love these stories of intrigue and family dynamics, but I think it's gossip.
I think it's probably a wake-up call for them that they need to move with the times more and understand more about mental health and problems like that, and not just try and brush it all under the carpet, because that's what they've done for years, and it didn't work with Diana and it hasn't worked with this.
I was shocked that they would look into colour as, you know, if anything, it should have been something they should have embraced.
I think it's a bit sad, really. I don't think they should have done it. I think it should have been left behind closed doors.
There are so many sort of interracial marriages, so it's nothing new. And so, the fact that all this has come up is kind of very surprising and quite disappointed.
They should leave Meghan alone, I must admit. I'm in her camp on this one. I think that she's been badly treated. You could see it coming a mile off with the tabloid press in this country.
I can't imagine what they could possibly do that makes it any better. I really can't. I mean, they'll probably do what they always do with some aplomb, which is say nothing and do nothing. I really do think that's the best thing to do. I mean, this is hurting people. It's not inconsequential. It's hurting people, and it does, as Bonnie says, and as you're implying, it doesn't do us any good in public publicity terms around the world. I have to say, I don't think it'll last that long. But let's wait and see.
No mistake. The fallout from this will shudder down through the generations. We've forgotten nothing and remembered nothing.
I mean, I suppose it's true you can't change the royal family. Diana found out about that, and she was born into a family of courtiers, so that's true. But at the same time, we're in an age that's very, very different, and a lot of people have bought in to the story of this couple, and it's launched 1,000 ships of hope and all of this kind of thing. And people can laugh at that, but actually it's true. And if you look at Oprah Winfrey's face during this interview, her face is more important than Meghan or Harry's, and you'll see how America's reacting to it, and it ain't good.
Sir, have you spoken to your brother since the interview?
No, I haven't spoken yet, but I will do.
And can you just let me know, is the royal family a racist family, sir?
No, we're very much not a racist family.
I don't think he could have done anything different. I mean, I think he had to answer the question, but I'm not sure he could say anything more. And I think, you know, the response to this question is actually going to be, not a dramatic one-word answer. It can't be. It's going to be a matter of show rather than tell.
Subsequent statements from the palace seem intent on softening the hostilities between the former royals. But one thing is for certain, no one will forget the revelations of this interview for a very long time, for better or worse.
What was it like introducing Meghan to your father and your brother?
What was it like? It was exciting. I mean, I've been seeing her for a period of time when I literally didn't tell anybody at all. And then William was longing to meet her, and so was Catherine. So, you know, they're being our neighbours, we managed to get that in quite a few times now. And Catherine's been absolutely
wonderful,
amazing, as is William as well. Fantastic support. And then my father as well. We had a couple of, no more than that.
We've had
a handful of teas and meetings and all sorts of gatherings over at his place as well. So no, the family together have been absolutely solid support, and my grandparents as well have been wonderful throughout this whole process, and they've known for quite some time. So how they haven't told anybody is again a miracle in itself. But no, the whole family have come together and have been a huge amount of support.
They've been amazing.